All right, guys, Bitcoin back above $100,000, just like we said on this channel. What did I say? I said after Christmas, after New Year's, as we get into that following week, we're going to see another pump in Bitcoin as people get back to their normal day-to-day activities. Not, that whole holiday rut kept people from trading. And it really did. And now we're back to above $100,000 Bitcoin. And we got XRP back to 240. We got Cardano at 210. We got all your altcoins essentially back to where they were about a month ago. I saw Theta's even at $2.50 again. Everything looking great, just like we predicted on this channel. These markets are just all too predictable at this point. That's what I'm saying, guys. You got to take my advice. I know what's happening. Now, I don't know. We could dump at any moment, of course. I'd like to see how long we can hang out above $100,000. I think we got to like $106,000 or something like that. Actually, we got to 108. If you look at the all-time high here, we got to 108. So we're still a pretty good ways away from 108. So I guess this really isn't anything to write home about. I feel like the whole psychological level of getting over $100,000 is over. And now, of course, the whole psychological thing is, can we get back to $108,000? Where we pumped to, what was it, like a couple weeks ago or a month ago. I think we're going to get there. I think it's going to be a slow road up over January, and I think we're going to see a lot of these altcoins steal the show and kind of catch up with Bitcoin. So let's see what's going on. Anything crazy going on in the world? I saw this kind of funny. Today is January 6th. The old January 6th that liberals is like, their worst day in the world because a few Republicans broke into the Capitol. Meanwhile, for years before that, BLM, Antifa were breaking into federal courthouses, killing people, shooting people. None of them even got arrested. But I think this is bittersweet. Polymark is all betting on if Justin Trudeau of Canada, who's the biggest liberal in the world at this point, he's basically the leader of the liberals. They love him. He's a self-described feminist, a male feminist. Basically destroyed Canada. Canada is one of the worst countries now. Record inflation. They have nothing going for them. People are poor on the street. Record homelessness. It's like one big California. He resigned today. January 6th, he resigned. Also today, which you can't make this shit up, Kamala Harris had to, I guess you could say, what's the word for it? Put her stamp or officiate, whatever you want to call it, President Trump's election. So she actually had to come out today and say Donald Trump won the election, and she basically had to sign it off officially in Congress. And then right after that, Justin Trudeau of Canada resigns. And then we got Donald Trump coming in 2 weeks. Could it be getting any better, guys? I feel like a lot of people, they don't appreciate the finer things in life. Everybody's like always looking for more. Come on. If I had told you this time next year, Trump's winning, Justin Trudeau's quitting, and Kamala Harris lost in a landslide, and she has to basically approve all of Trump's votes and say he's the next president, you wouldn't even believe me. And then Gary Gensler resigning, Bitcoin over $100,000. I could pretty much go on all day, but this has been a really good year so far. Like January 2025, I mean, we did have a few horrible terrorist attacks, but other than that, it's been a really good year so far, and I think it's going to continue. And I think it's probably going to go until about April, May. It's funny. I've been talking about this whole alt season bull market probably ending around spring. Rand Nooner of Crypto Banter pretty much said that's a possibility today as well, which only gives us about another 3 or 4 months. Going back to Rand Nooner, I've been talking about MicroStrategy for a long time, how it's going to be the catalyst that destroys this whole market. It's going to give us the biggest bear market in the world. Some guy in my comments was giving me shit about it, like, oh, I'm a Bitcoin bear. I don't like Bitcoin. Guys, I'm not in the cult. I've always been a loner. I've always done my own thing. I've never been into sports. I've never been into like, ooh, ah, getting behind things. I'm always on my own, doing my own thing. I'm a PI. I'm a loner. I ride around in my car. I investigate fraud. I investigate crime. I do background investigations. I do surveillance. And I do it all by myself. I'm not much of a team player. And I'm not falling into the whole Bitcoin cult. Because, and we're going to play a little video from Peter Schiff as well, you have to understand all these Michael Saylors, all these ETFs, that are buying Bitcoin, I don't care what they say, they're in it for the trade, and they're all going to dump out as we go into the bear market. And if you hold, you're going to have to wait another 4 years to make any money. So why not just sell? Why not just sell in the bull market? So here's Crypto Ram talking about a little bit about MicroStrategy. He's basically just talking about some negative things that could happen. He's overall bullish, but he does mention it in his show today, just talking about MicroStrategy a little bit.
Actually is going to get sentenced. So just keep an eye out. It's in 5 days. Keep an eye out for that. The other thing that's worrying me, and I've said it a million times, is I kind of think that a lot of this market is being held up by MicroStrategy. I mean, I have nothing against MicroStrategy. I think what they're doing is fantastic, but it's an unhealthy market for me when there's one buyer in the market. He keeps raising and raising and raising money to buy Bitcoin, and he keeps publishing these things. But, I mean, if you look at this transaction here, we're used to Michael Saylor buying $1 billion and $2 billion and $1.5 billion, and he landed up buying, 1,070 Bitcoin. Now, 1,070 Bitcoin is, Josh, did you buy more or less than 1,070 last week? You bought a little bit more, he bought a little bit more. Yeah, what? Yeah, so when you talk about like 1,070, it's like Josh bought more than that. You bought much more than 1,070, right? Double. See, so like it's slowing down. Now, again, what worries me is that this market feels a little bit, I won't say artificially inflated, but it does feel like there's one main buyer in the market, which is Michael Saylor. And there is a risk that if Michael Saylor slows down, the market slows down with Michael Saylor. But we'll keep an eye on that going forward. I think let's maybe...
Yeah, and that's kind of all we're saying on this channel. I know people like to say I'm a Bitcoin bear and all that. You have to understand now, there is a difference now between Bitcoin 2020, Bitcoin 2017, and Bitcoin now in 2025. The main players are now Michael Saylor and the ETFs. And the thing that brought us over $100,000 Bitcoin is essentially Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin. If Michael Saylor wasn't buying Bitcoin, we'd probably be at like a $70,000, maybe $80,000 Bitcoin right now. And if you notice, Michael Saylor is buying less and less Bitcoin because he doesn't have that much more money. And as the price goes up, you can only buy so much. So as he buys less, eventually that's going to affect the price as we go into the bear market. Obviously, we've already been over this. Michael Saylor can only buy Bitcoin as Bitcoin is pumping. He has to issue and leverage his stock. So the minute we go into a bear market, either Michael Saylor is going to start selling his Bitcoin, as well as the funds are definitely going to start selling, but he's going to start selling, or the price is just going to drop so much that he's going to have to pay back a lot of people. He's not going to be able to do it. Anyway, it's going to be a real disaster. Now, I don't want to rain on everybody's parade. I don't think that's happening until spring. Maybe even, probably not. Actually, probably not until summer, until Bitcoin really has its collapse. Maybe even going into next year. But, we have to talk about it. I'm like I said, I'm not in the cult. I've never been in the cult. I'm not a big religious guy. I'm not a big follower of sports people. I don't have a lot of friends because I don't tell people what they want to hear. I just basically call the shots. I call it as it is. Most people in Bitcoin will not make any money. And most people in Bitcoin see it as a religion. They see it as a cult. They see it as like the next greatest thing in the world. And it's not. It's just a way to trade and make some money. It's fun. Yeah, maybe you can put your money in a fund. You can use some Bitcoin. If you go on a trip or something like that, your Litecoin, your whatever, your Cardano. But it's not the cure for cancer. Like if somebody comes out with a cure for cancer, I'll totally come out and say, I'll bow to that scientist and say, wow, I'll kiss your feet. Like you really are amazing. But a guy like Michael Saylor, who's just a Miami sleazeball, who's buying a lot of Bitcoin and leveraging the stock, I don't think much of him. And Bitcoin, like I said, it's interesting, it's fun, but it's basically just a way to make money. And most people lose all their money anyway. They get hacked or they just don't sell at the right time. And I'm listening to Peter Schiff, and yeah, I know he's a big Bitcoin bear, but he's right. He's right most of the time because Bitcoin's mainly dumping in the bear market. The only time Peter Schiff isn't right is when we're in a bull market like right now. He makes a good point, and we're going to play a little bit of this.
And there's a bunch of them now. But the first one was 20 years ago. And so over the past 20 years, if you look at all the gold that all these ETFs own, it's about 1.6% of the above ground supply of gold. That's it. 1.6%. In 20 years, that's all they've been able to buy. Now, if you look at how much they own relative to the trading every day of gold, it's about 1 day's volume. So basically, if all of the gold ETFs in the world liquidated all their gold on the same day, the market would absorb it. I mean, gold might be down a bit, maybe it'd be down $100, I don't know, but the market would absorb the selling. All of it, no problem. Look at what's happened just this year with these Bitcoin ETFs. I think the Bitcoin ETFs, along with MicroStrategy and Mara, right, they own at least 8% of the Bitcoin already. Not just, like above ground like gold, because there's gold in the ground that is not owned by these ETFs, but they own 8% of all the Bitcoin that will ever exist, right? All 21 million, right? They've already amassed 8% of it, and it hasn't even been a full year. I mean, at the rate they're going, they're going to gobble up all this Bitcoin. I mean, how scarce could it be when it was this easy for these ETFs and these companies to buy up so much Bitcoin? Somebody was willing to unload their Bitcoin on these entities. And again, these entities that own it, they're not married to it. This is a trade. They're expecting to sell. They're wanting to cash out. If you look at the total amount of Bitcoin held by these institutions, ETFs, it's over 10 times the daily trading volume. So if there's ever a big liquidation out of the Bitcoin ETFs, look out below. There is no depth to this market.
Yeah, and I highly recommend you guys listen to this. And like I said, I get it. A lot of people don't want to listen to the other side of the story. And that is what fucks everybody in this world. You look, I watch MSNBC to get their side, even though I don't agree with it. I watch CNN, I watch Fox, I have all sorts of podcasts I listen to. I'll even listen to like a liberal podcast guy because I want to hear what's going on. I want to hear the other side. And we just had a story with, I'm a big MAGA guy, and you see Elon Musk now doing all the HB1 and Vivek Ramaswamy, who everybody loved. I never loved Vivek. I always thought he was a snake oil salesman. And now it turns out he is. He's just a snake oil salesman. All he cares about is cheap labor, and I've been saying that forever. But a lot of people latched onto a guy like Vivek Ramaswamy because they only watch Fox News, where I watch everything. I always knew he was a snake oil salesman. Same with Bitcoin. I got a lot of money in these crypto markets, guys. I got a lot of money. Okay, I'm not a millionaire. It's not. Some people would look at the amount of money I have in these markets and make fun of me and say you don't have much. Okay, but for my little world, I expect to cash out of these markets and buy at least 2 rental properties. At least 2 couple $100,000 rental properties in April or May, and that's what I plan to do with my money. Now, some people might say that's not a lot of money because you're not making millions. Okay, but I'm going to make enough for me because that's going to allow me to retire early. So when I'm investing that much money into something, I look at both sides of the story. I'm not going to just listen to fucking Michael Saylor. I'm sorry, I'm not. Or Crypto Ran or whoever's pumping Bitcoin. I want to hear Peter Schiff as well because Peter Schiff is right. He's right every 3 years when everything crashes. And we have to understand, guys, when we crash, when we go into a bear market, I think everybody in Bitcoin knows that. If you think we're not going to go into a bear market, then you're an idiot. I mean, there's no other way to put it. You're an idiot. You have no business being in these markets. So if we all agree there's going to be a bear market, we all agree that these ETFs are only in it for the trade because they don't care. They're just in it to make the money, guys. You think these ETFs, these big funds, have any principles? Like, oh, we're in it for the technology. Oh, the ETFs are in it for the technology. No, they're in it to trade and dump on you. And they're going to dump on you, and they're going to dump on you in the spring and the summer, and that's going to take us into the bear market. Now, the problem is we've never seen this before. We've never seen this much money, this many funds, this many Michael Saylors in the market before. And we know if they get out of this market, it's going to be devastating. It's going to be devastating. So there's a lot of money to be made here, guys. We're going to do very well. But you have to also see the risk that this is a Ponzi. We are in a Ponzi. Bitcoin is now a Ponzi. That doesn't mean Bitcoin's not going to do well in 5 or 10 years and bounce back up and we'll get like a $500,000 Bitcoin. But in the next couple of years, Bitcoin's dropping back down to $20,000. I guarantee it. And I guarantee guys like Michael Saylor get brought up on charges. The SEC shuts down the stock. I see it all in my crystal ball. I see it all. I've been trading penny stocks for years. I've been in crypto for years. I see it all happening. I told you guys. Celsius, Alex Masensky, I told you he was going to jail before it all collapsed. I said it. I told you guys BlockFi. Was going to crash and go to zero. I told you guys Sam Bankman-Fried was a scammer and he was going to end up in jail. I told you guys when everybody was telling you to buy Terra Luna, I said that's a scam and that's unsustainable and that's going to end up crashing the markets and going to zero. I also told you when UST, which was a part of Terra Luna, when people were getting that 20% interest, I said do not take part in that. It's a Ponzi. It's going to collapse. Everybody made fun of me. I have a video of it. I don't have a lot of subscribers. You guys look at, if anybody new to my channel, Google on my channel Terra Luna. I called the collapse of Terra Luna about 2 months before it happened. So I know my shit. I'm also a trained investigator. Been doing it for 20 years. I have my own agency. I'm an expert witness. I testify in court all the time. I deal with sleazeballs every day. A lot of the cops you see around where I live, they're hired because I did their background investigation, right? I know my shit. I'm not stupid. I mean, I'm not a genius either, but I have some street smarts. And I know when something's a scammer. I know when something's going to collapse. And these markets are going to collapse. Michael Saylor is going to end up probably in prison, minimally bankrupt, I think. And all these funds are going to be selling their Bitcoin at the top. So just be careful. That's all I'm saying. You know, if you don't want to sell, you want to hold your Bitcoin forever, that's fine. Do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm making this video. I'm making this YouTube channel not to make friends. I already have some money. I have a job. I have income. Got some rental properties. I don't care about subscribers. If I had 1 subscriber, I would still make these videos because I'm documenting my journey in these markets. That's all I'm doing. I don't even care about the subscribers. So don't subscribe or call me a fucking Bitcoin bear. I don't give a shit. I know I'm right. I know I'm right on this one. So anyway, that's that. Let's see what else is going on. Bitcoin returns to 100,000, blah, blah, blah. We've already talked about that. Very good stuff for Bitcoin. XRP price chart. Bull flag targets $15 amid increasing open interest. XRP currently at 240, printed a bull flag on the daily chart, a technical chart pattern associated with strong upward momentum. Could this bullish setup and surge open interest see the start of the second leg of the XRP rally? I think so. I think Bitcoin's kind of, going to stay where it is right now. Maybe it'll go up to like 108, but I think it's going to kind of stay where it is. I think XRP is probably going to be above $3 in the next week. Could be wrong. I don't know. I think Cardano probably $1.50 within the next week or two. Like I said, could be wrong. I just feel like the timing has to happen, especially if spring is right around the corner. And if you compare Bitcoin and crypto to the previous markets, we really should be coming up on that time very, very soon. Not to mention you have the inauguration coming up, which we've already talked about. A lot of good things happening. And you have Trump, who's probably going to be signing a lot of executive orders day one. And I wouldn't be surprised if within the first week of Trump, you're going to see some Bitcoin-related executive orders. And of course, at that time, you're going to see Gary Gensler resigning. And I think that's probably going to take us up substantially. I think it's going to be the start of the next leg up for these markets. See if I'm missing anything. There's not a lot of news right now. I mean, we're still kind of technically in a holiday weekend. Like I said, I did see that most of our coins that we've been talking about are doing extremely well. VeChain's still up 5 cents, which is really nice to see. I saw Theta was at 250 last time I checked. 250, so we're almost at a 260 Theta. Highly recommend people, if you're not in Theta to pick some up. I think Theta is probably still a good buy right now. VeChain. I think Cardano is definitely a good buy right now. I think Cardano's got like another 5x in it. And that's pretty much it, guys. If you're new to these markets, check out some AI coins, Vulcan Forge. Just go down the list, and we'll see what happens. Overall, guys, everything's looking good. I'm not trying to be like a Debbie Downer. I'm just, like I said, I'm not in the cult. I see this as investing. I see all the big players that are pumping up the Bitcoin price. They're all people who are just trading it, and they're all people who are going to be selling, because if they don't sell it, they're going to lose their job. If you're in a big Bitcoin fund and you got some big manager who's making $10 million a year, you cannot have your clients lose 70%. You have to sell it. And they're all planning to sell it. They just don't know when. They have the smartest minds telling them when we're going to hit the top. It's probably going to be spring, between spring and going into summer. But once they make that decision to sell, they're all going to sell at the same time. And Michael Saylor's probably going to be selling too. I don't know. And we'll talk about that more, but it just has to be in the back of your mind that we're going to make a lot of money. It's great. Yay, yay, yay. Love my Bitcoin. Love my crypto. It's a great way to make money, but it's not no cure for cancer. It's not going to change the world. I'm sorry. It's really not. I mean, it's just not. So that's the way I see it. If you don't like that, that's fine. But you also have to realize that you might be in a cult. You might be in a religious cult. You know, these cults, if you go to like Saudi Arabia or you see these fundamental people who come into town, if you insult their God, they'll chop your head off, they'll kill you, they'll run you over. They don't care. That's kind of what happens when your mind gets obsessed with one thing. And I see a lot of people right now in Bitcoin and crypto, they basically see it as a religion, and that's always dangerous. And beyond being dangerous, you're just not going to make any money. You're going to make a lot of money on paper, telling everybody how much money you have on paper, but the minute we go into the bear market, you're not going to sell, and then you're going to be down 90%, and you might even fucking jump off a bridge or something like that, because that happens every bear market too. People jump off a bridge. They jump off a bridge and kill themselves. All right, on that note, like and subscribe, or don't subscribe. I really don't give a fuck. Talk to you later.